So I wish I could see everybody, but currently all I can see is this camera right now and Eric's beautiful face. So we're just going to roll with it. And so I have my brother Wesley here. He's our head of AI at Dimension 5. And then we have Blake here, who's our technical director at the studio. He makes pretty much this whole place run. We're sitting in Studio A in Studio Lab in Derry, New Hampshire, roughly 45 minutes from Boston. And yeah, Eric invited us to just jump on, have a quick conversation about how we're using technology in the virtual production space, as well as how we're going to be using a lot of some of the tools that Eric and his team are coming up with for a collaboration that we're doing with the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville later this month. And so I believe we only have 15 minutes here or so we're going to run through everything really quick, basically tell you about the technology that we have here at the studio, you know, where we've come from, where we are now, and hopefully where we're going. And the where we're going really relies on both the technical innovation that we're trying to bring into the world, but also the technical innovation that you guys are bringing into the world as well. And so the more that we can understand each other's worlds, the more that we can create. So I'm going to hand it off to Blake here, and he's going to give you a run through of all the technology that we have here and why we're doing it, and yeah, where we're going from there. So I'll have Blake give us a start off. Eric, is there anything else you want to add? Awesome.
Sweet.
No, I think that's great. Take it away.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Blake, you're up.
Yeah, so believe it or not, virtual production has been around in some form or fashion since the beginning of filmmaking. And so some films that I like to highlight to show this off are North by Northwest using rear projection technology to put an actor in a dangerous situation, as you can see here with the plane flying behind him. This technique was also used a lot in like car plates, where they couldn't put large film cameras on cars, so they put rear projection screens behind them and projected virtual backplates of roads and everything. Another great example, we move on to The Mandalorian, modern day, using LED walls to put real-time rendered backgrounds in a 360-degree all-around a talent, especially Mando here with his reflective armor and everything. So yeah, what's next, Ian? So here at Studio Lab, we do a lot of commercial work, and we love using our big LED wall to create different backgrounds, to get reflections on cars, to create neighborhood streets so that your neighbor isn't mowing the lawn in the middle of a production. You can go to the next one, Ian. And then we also like to use the wall to create fantastical places like Mars, or like this crazy music studio, which starts to sort of glitch out here and does some crazy stuff.
Sweet.
Cool. I'm going to hand it over to Ian to talk to you about everything that he does here, but that was a little bit about Studio Lab and everything that we do.
Sweet. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at now is I'm just going to bring you guys through how we make a lot of the content that we make, and then the future of hopefully where the content is being created and where we're going to go. So this next scene that you'll see here that we'll jump to, yep, go ahead, is pretty much just a quick and dirty, simple plate. So what you're seeing on the wall behind me is just a 2D plate, and that 2D plate is just a photograph of an airport. Now we have the airport plate, and mainly because it's very difficult to actually go on to an airstrip, and you know, you have noise, you have safety concerns. If you go to the next slide here, you can actually see the final. So we brought the actor on location, pretty much right here, and he didn't have to sit in a 90-degree airport tarmac. We also didn't have to worry about being hit by a plane or have any issues with you know, any security reasons. And so that's the simplest version of how we can use the wall, is a 2D plate. The next thing that we usually go to is car plates, so moving plates. This is where you have a dynamic kind of shot that you look and you want to get. This one had a baby on board because they were doing basically a job for a car seat. Now, if you're dealing with infants, it's very difficult, and safety is a big concern. So what we had done is on the left and right, you can actually see the front plate and the side plate, and we're actually able to shoot that all in a single day. We didn't have to worry about weather. We didn't have to worry about shutting down a road. We were able to easily come in, knock it out, and everybody was safe, and we got the shot. The next one that we have here, that's the behind the scenes, if you guys can see in the studio of what it looked like. And so, you know, we use cinema robots and a lot of moving motion control cameras to also make this all possible. The next one that we're going to look at is actually what we use. It's called render stream. So what you're seeing behind me is actually being real-time rendered on the wall. And so I'll actually see if I can zoom in here so you guys can actually see what it looks like. So as we get closer, Blake is actually manipulating this entire world all real time. So our lighting and our camera can all be adjusted. And so, Blake, if you want to move the sun for me, you actually can start to see that sun dynamically move and dynamically shift, which is a huge benefit in production because I've never been able to hire the sun out before, and it kind of does what it wants to do. But in this world, we have the capacity to actually manipulate the world. Another thing you can do is duplicate things. And so Blake can actually bring a chair up or a table, and I don't have to run to IKEA 4 or 5 times because production wants 5 different chairs at 5 different colors. You all know that the digital world allows us to clone and duplicate things incredibly easy. We could stay here for a while, but I know we have to get moving, so we'll quickly jump to the next thing, which is a final spot that we want to show you on the wall that took place here. This is with Gray Whale Gin. They're basically a gin company, and as you're seeing on the back wall, pretty much you have 6 different locations all up and down the California coast. And so it was very difficult for them to actually get to all these locations in a single day. It was actually going to be impossible. Plus location scouting, location management, the cost of that was very difficult. And so my brother Wesley worked to build these digital worlds from scratch, and we'll kind of show you what that looks like. And this is where you guys might be able to come in and help us enhance this workflow and this process. So this next thing, what you're going to see is this was the actual, let's see if you want to zoom out for that so they can see it just a little bit. This was the actual location they wanted to duplicate. It's in Italy, and it would have been very difficult to get there. And so what we did was we reversed image search it, found it, and started building it from scratch. And so what that looks like, if we go to the next one, is you have like this small, I guess you could say, area. We need to build everything to scale. That's very important here. If you don't build anything to scale, you're either going to look like a midget or you're going to look like a giant, and we want neither of those. The next thing that you'll see is the dress up phase. We want to make it look a bit better. So we add trees, we add foliage, anything to really enhance the overall visual process of it. And then the final thing is we start to add textures and kind of the extra stuff. And so on the left side, it's a low texture quality image. And on the right, there's a little bit more texture, but it's not fully real. And so this is where we're getting. And when you're working in Unreal, you get close to photorealism, but you're never fully there. And so in our mind, we see some ability for, whoever to create a program to take an input like this real time and through whatever systems, pump out a higher quality version of that location. That would be phenomenal from just like an AI model perspective if that was possible, because then all the processing doesn't have to happen just in Unreal. We could pipe that through another machine that enhances it and changes it. We'll jump to this next one, which is the final of that scene. And you can quickly see from day to nighttime how that dynamically changes and how important it is that lighting is there. But this, again, imagine if we're able to take this and dream up 5 different other locations from just this one. This took us 2 months to create from scratch. And so we feel very limited by that. And so if you're able to, hey, this is our base, and you're able to make it, that much better, or just stylize it different, that would be fantastic. The next thing is pretty much going into Gaussian splatting. Let's see, you can go wide on this one. I'm really excited about this because it allows you to capture the world around you and basically build a 3D model of an existing space. What you're seeing behind me is actually in Studio A, we captured and created a full studio that was physical, but when the crew left, this all got torn down. And so what we did, we actually scanned it, and I'm going to show you the scanner that we used. If anybody's been following X-Grids, they came out with this thing called a portal cam. This is 3D Gaussian splatting technology. This is the actual camera here. It's got a LiDAR camera in the front, 2 front-facing cameras, and I walked around this space for about 10 minutes, captured the world, and then brought it in. The cool part about this is all point clouds. So everybody who works in Touch Designer, you know how cool it is to manipulate some of this stuff. Now, I'll tell you something. Nobody in the virtual production world knows how to deal with point clouds at the capacity I think the people in Touch Designer know how to deal with them. And so if we could come up with a system to use our system and kind of what you guys have on your back end, we could do some really, really amazing things. And as you're seeing behind me, you're able to create that from scratch. And so I'm obsessed with time travel and teleportation, and this is the closest thing I have to that. And so that's kind of where we're at. We'll jump to this next one. which is really just looking at Wesley's computer, which we'll try and get up here. But this is World Labs. If anybody's heard of what World Labs is doing, Wesley can move around in space. This was all generated off of a single image. So taking the same technology that you had with XGrids, but you're able to reference it, build it, and again, this took 5 minutes to create. And so a lot of our production companies, they don't have as much budget for full 3D world build out, but if you can jump in space and time with this, it's really fantastic. I know I'm rushing through this here. I know we're trying to finish up in the next 5 minutes or so, but this is just the next level of digital world creation that we're really excited about. And so I'm actually going to bring it over. Do we have one more slide? Show me what that next one is. I think it's jumping into Johnny Cash. And so I'm going to bring my brother up here. He's going to talk about this collaboration that we have with the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville. Eric and their team is also helping us with an installation for this. That's going to be live in November or December. And so Wesley has done a lot of work in the AI space using multiple tools to bring these photos back to life. Awesome, Wesley. Tell them a little bit about what's going on.
All right, so I know Ian touched on a little bit of kind of like time travel and teleportation, and we kind of are obsessed with this fact of being able to bring the past in a way that gives us a new perspective or a new way to look at it. So right now, I'm in development of changing a lot of the Johnny Cash archive. So they gave me a massive collection of photos from the 1950s, 60s, all the way to the 2000s of his life, his career within the music industry. And as you can see, there's a photo behind me. This is a good example of a typical photo. A lot of the time in film, you're just taking a photo of the photo or the film as a piece of paper. And we all know that piece of paper gets cracks and it gets dust and speckles and all sorts of different things that kind of ruin the quality over time with aging. But now that we have artificial intelligence that's able to revitalize and create a whole new way of looking at it, we can actually bring the quality up to 4K, similar to like an IMAX camera or like a cinematic camera, and put these in an aspect ratio of 21:9. And what's great about 21:9 is that Luma supports 21:9 video creation for cinematic videos. So I can also take these images, which I'll show you later, and bring them into a 21:9 4K HDR format. So I'm taking old 1950s, 60s footage and restoring them, colorizing them, and putting them on the big screen where we can put it within our Johnny Cash experience with a whole new, entirely different way of quality, bringing these back, you know.
Yeah, and Wesley mentioned there that HDR like quality is huge, especially on showing on a large wall like this. Blake, you can kind of go to that next one. Again, we're dealing with old film stock, and so we're working closely, you know, with the Johnny Cash estate, the actual estate, to bring these to life, because there's an integrity about taking old film and old footage and bringing that back to life without losing the actual historic nature inside of these files. And so that's very important when you're dealing with AI, because as we all know, there's a lot of people who are really mad about AI. And so we want to maintain the integrity and show, hey, we're not just trying to recreate and generate something from scratch, like his likeness. We are trying to take his likeness and the information inside those old school photos. Could you go back, Blake, just one? Because something like this in the black and white, there's actually color data inside the black and white between hues. And so training a model to see what those hues and those shifts are, and then go to the next one, is huge, because that's actually what it was like to be there. And so we were crazy enough capturing data and information, and we didn't even know it. And so Wesley's done an amazing job to enhance that, bring that back. I mean, we've gone over, and we've been working on this project for probably 1.5 years with the Johnny Cash estate. Wesley's going to show you one last piece here, Blake, if you want to go to his computer. And Wesley, if you want to kind of explain what they're seeing here, and how we're using and partnering with Luma to bring these to life.
Yeah, so again, with using that 21:9 aspect ratio, we can put things in a super wide cinematic format. And earlier with those photos, I actually generative expanded all of them. That way, instead of being always so zoomed in or in a square format, like a lot of photos were taken in square aspect ratios, you can actually generative expand that, stick that within Luma, and you can make that come to life. So here you're watching a shot of never before seen footage of Johnny Cash performing in the 1950s, 1960s with actual reactions. And you can even sometimes it can figure out the cadence of, sometimes I even mention Johnny Cash in my prompts and it'll be able to actually do like a slow type of guitar strum on top of other examples I have here of them being together. So like posing shots of all sorts of, I've actually done this with my own photo memories of me and my father and my brother. And it's really cool to be able to go back in time and see what it would look like if I were to stick an FS7 or like a cinematic high quality red IMAX camera in front of me and my brother back when we were 5 years old. And I'll give you one more example here. Especially that American flag with Johnny Cash smoking a cigarette. Look at the vapor and the smoke that comes out of here and the simulations of that. It's really hard to be able to get that to be accurate. And if I wanted to, I can add a text prompt within this and make that flag in the background wave. There's all sorts of different creative opportunities I have just with prompting with these photos. And we're actually able to use this within the Johnny Cash experience for like kind of a documentary style or even just even other augmented reality and AI ventures that we have as well.
Yeah, so just to wrap up here, Eric, I think we did pretty good. It's right on time in 15 minutes. So we just, again, the goal here, I know everybody knows how to prompt and do all this stuff, but we really want to find the line, the thin line about, how are we properly using these tools and techniques to do things you otherwise wouldn't be able to do before. And so Eric potentially can tell you a little bit about the Johnny Cash experience that we're making called, Johnny Cash always said, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. And so we're doing this experience inside the theater that says, hello, you're Johnny Cash. And so what you'll do is you'll walk on stage and you'll walk in front of a camera from the 1960s. That gets post-processed through Eric and their team's solution, gets sent back to us from the cloud, and then onto a 1950, 1960, 1970 CRT TV. And so we're mixing old school technology with new school technology as well to make a completely different experience.
Yeah, analog to digital back to an analog TV.
Yeah. So other than that, I appreciate you guys for listening in and hearing what we have to say. If anybody has any ideas or concepts that we could utilize, feel free to follow us on socials. You can find me on Instagram, and please just shoot a DM, and we'd love to collaborate.